Hey guys, in this next one, I want to go ahead and get our camera set up. Right now, when we look at our game, we fixed all the bugs, so we now have the moving, we now have the shooting, but we don't have a camera that's linked to our character at all. So he jumps and then he falls away, and the camera stays exactly static. So what we need to do is have that chase camera. We need to have our camera following along with our main character. That way we can navigate a whole level and not have to be worried about him flying off screen. Normally the easiest way to do this is just through parenting. So you just take your main camera, attach it to the player, and then things would be able to move along with it. The problem is, because our player actually rotates, what's happening here is it's now going to be messing with our camera, so we end up with something that's very, very unplayable. So what we need to do is match just the transformation from the player to the camera. So the way we'll do that is go ahead and drag this back out so the camera's all by its lonesome. Add an FSM to the camera, and it's going to require three things. We're going to need to get the position of our player, okay? We need to do some math to it, okay, and then we need to set that position of the player to our camera. Okay, so right now I've kind of framed the shot about how I want it to. The camera's about 15 back from our player's in the center of the screen. Alright, everything's all nice and set up. So I'm going to remember this: 0, 0, and 15. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to replicate this same 0, 0, 15 with my player controller. So go to the camera, start with our state 1, go to Action Browser, and the really cool thing is we can go down to Transform, and we can use a little action called Get Position. Alright, so I want to add that, and the position is we need to specify the game object, and that will be our player. Alright, so what this is going to do is get the position of our player, and then we want to store that into a variable, a vector variable. So we're going to go to Variables, New Variable, call this one Player Pause. Change that so that's a type of vector 3 for X, Y, and Z. Alright, and then assign that to the player position. Alright, so now we have, it's going to get the position of our game object, of our player. It's going to place it into this vector variable. Alright, now we need to do some math to it. So let's go to, where are you now? Transform. There you are, vec3. Alright, there's this wonderful little function they add called set vec3 XYZ, and also vec3 add XYZ. And this is the one we want to do. Is we don't want to set it, we want to add something to it. Alright, so what I want to do is do a vec3 add, and here's our variable. Change it to player position. So it's going to load in the player position into this variable, and then we're going to do some changes to this variable. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a -15 along that Z. So it's going to take this 0, 0, 0, add the -15 to it, so we'll be at 0, 0, -15. And then wherever this guy goes, it's going to update the other ones. Alright, so I'm going to set this thing up so that works this way, and then we need the last part is to set our character's position, or I'm sorry, our camera's position. So go to Action Browser one more time, go to Transform, and go to a Set Position. Alright, we're going to add that. We're not going to use Transform because we don't want it to move. We want it to instantly be placed there every scene. We don't want it to be kind of a laggy camera. If we were going to do that, we'd do some sort of a Transform, but instead we're going to be using just a set position to make sure it's in place. So what I'm going to do is use the vector player position. Remember, this has been modified as it's coming on down through, and allow that to work on our camera. So use every frame, every frame, every frame, and then let's see what happens. Alright, so it's moving. Alright, as our camera guy goes and falls away and runs away. Okay, so now we have our camera tracking our player, so when we add more platforms and do more stuff exploring the world, we actually have a camera that's going to chase along with him. Okay. Alright, pretty simple stuff. Just three little actions in a single state.